Has this ever happened to you where you hear a sermon on faith and you are so pumped that faith is the only thing you need in life? And then you hear another sermon about love and then you're like, oh no, love is the only important thing in life. Has that ever happened to you? Let me show you how I deal with that feeling. Welcome back to Merizo TV. It brings me so much joy that you are here again. I do not take it for granted. Keep praying for me for inspiration so that I can always be a blessing to you. There are a lot of passionate preachers in the world today. And I tell you, if you listen to just one sermon, you will think that that is everything you need to know. It is true that if you obey instructions from just one message from the Lord, it can transform your life. But that does not mean that is the only thing there is to know about God, faith, love, or anything that is the subject of that sermon. And so if you don't hear very often, or maybe you hear once a while, you are conditioned to believe that that is the most important thing. In fact, if you listen to only one specific preacher, it turns out that the things that they say most recently are the things that you find most important. You know, the mind is wired to work in such a way that more recent information feels more important and older information feels less relevant. And even if it's the same preacher, but many years apart, there's a tendency for you to want to stick to more recent things. So oftentimes we know and we have heard of many important things, sometimes often mutually exclusive truths, but because of when and from whom we heard them, we don't apportion the correct importance to each of these things. But I want to share with you something that has helped me to handle these very well. The first thing is prayer. There's a prayer that I love to pray every now and then, and it is, enlarge my heart, O God. You know, I've understood that because of recency bias, it is possible to consider some things more important than the other. Even if what is new is not as important, the mind tricks us because we heard it more recently. So I always pray that, Lord, enlarge my heart. Enlarge it, not to be too small that something new is displacing something old. You know, I pray that God enlarge my heart to be able to accommodate everything that you need me to know. You know, God's word is so rich and diverse, and it will not be helpful to us if we have truths competing for space and relevance in our heart. It is not possible that for every sermon you hear, it contains all the essential doctrines for life. If that happens, then every message will probably be 12 hours, or every message will be the same thing, because before we go over all the basics, time will have gone. So don't let your mind play tricks on you, taking more recent things to be more important. There's a passage I like to share with you, Psalm 119, 31 to 33. I cling to your decrees, Lord, do not put me to shame. I pursue the way of your commands, for you broaden my understanding. KJV says, you enlarge my heart. Teach me the meaning of your statutes, and I will always keep them. So the psalmist prayed this prayer, and I think you should as well, to cling to what God has taught you in the past by enlarging your heart, to be able to follow God's instructions. The second way that you can help your mind to accommodate multiple important truths at the same time is by having a ritual of consistently going over the basics. So maybe reading the Bible through every year, or rereading your old notes, or re-listening to old messages. There's a reason why people put up a creed or things like confessions together. You know, sometimes it's a summary of all the basic truths that they want to keep close to their heart. So they look through the scriptures and draw out those messages and go over it, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. So that's also a helpful tradition to keep God's word, all of God's truths, constantly close to your heart. So next time you are tempted to kick off old truth because you heard something different, it might not even be a competing truth. It might be both relevant and accurate doctrine, but because because you heard it maybe years apart, your mind is playing tricks on you. Do these two things and it's going to help you. God bless you.